welcome to the Board Game Network. Today I'm going to be showing you how to play this game called Viticulture, put out by Stonemaier Games, and it plays 1 to 6 players in about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And it's a worker placement. It's very straightforward. They did a great job with the putting verbiage on the board itself so that you can know when you can do certain things. Each player gets a player mat. Each player gets a color of pieces. And then each player gets dealt a mama and a papa card. And so this game does have a solo play rules in it. So let's say those are your mama and papa cards that you were dealt. And those show you what your starting setup is. You've got a green deck here, a yellow deck, a purple deck, a blue deck. Each of those is just shuffled face down. And so my starting hand, my starting cards would be a green card, a yellow card, a blue card, and 2 workers. It's got a place here on your mat for available workers, so you put your 2 available workers there. And then your papa, it always has a grande worker, which is one of the big one. There's a larger size worker. And then this also says, and 3 coins. And then the second line is an optional line. It says I can have irrigation, which normally costs me 3. That's a structure. Or I can have 3 more coins. So I could start with 6 coins and 1 worker. Or I can start with 3 coins, the grande worker, and an irrigation. Whatever I want. And so you're done with the mama and papa at that point. So to start, everybody takes their chicken and puts it over here on the time chart. And this time chart is what time you wake up in the morning. So the earlier you wake up, the less your workers like you. So the less benefits you get out of it. The later you wake up, there's more benefits. You're randomly going to choose who goes first, so everybody just take a worker, and everybody puts one of their workers in somebody's hand and they just drop it, and that'll be a random first player worker. First player, and so they get the first player marker, which is these grapes here. This gray worker goes down here at 7 a.m. So if somebody takes the 7 a.m. slot, they get an extra worker. So that's the setup. There's 4 seasons each year. And they tell you here on the side of the board what you do in those seasons. Spring is you choose a wake up position. So everybody's got their chickens out here. So whoever the first player is going to get to pick what time they want to wake up first. 1 o'clock guarantees that you're going to go first in the round, but no other benefit. So the 2 o'clock would give you a green card, 3 o'clock would give you a purple card, 4 o'clock gives you a coin, 5 o'clock gives you a yellow or a blue card, whichever one you want. 6 o'clock gives you a victory point. And you're going to put your cork here on the start space of the victory points. And so the game runs until somebody gets to 20 victory points. And this 7 o'clock gives you an extra worker. So you put that worker on your space here. It's not going to be your color, but you get to use him just as if he was yours. Okay, so ready to go. You also have a bottle. And that bottle goes here where residual income is kept track of. So everybody's going to have a bottle here. So the goal of this game is you are planting grapevines. You are harvesting those for the grapes. You are then making wine out of those, aging the grapes, aging the wine, and then selling the wine. And that's on these different cards here. Green ones are your grapevines. This one and this one, these are called visitor cards. And they usually give you something, some good benefit. The yellow ones you can only play in the summer. The blue ones you can only play in the winter. So let's assume that purple gets to go first. So I'm at the 1 o'clock hour, so I get to go first. So I am now in the summer, and you need to pay attention to this. For 2 players, there's only 1 circle available on each space. 3 and 4 players, there's 2 circles, and the middle circle has a second benefit to it. 5 and 6 players, all 3 circles are available. So if there's only 2 circles available, then once they're full, you can't put another worker in that space. Okay, so these are very straightforward in the way they're verbiaged on the game board here. So this says play a yellow card. So if you had a yellow card in your hand that you wanted to play, this is the spot to do that. If you had this middle one, that lets you play 2 yellow cards. Here it says sell at least 1 grape or buy or sell 1 field. And I have not put out these cards, these field cards yet, which I need to. One of them says 5 on it, one says 6, and one says 7. And this is where you put these 5, 6, and 7 here. So you can sell 1 grape, and the way to sell grapes is if you have grapes down here in your crush pad, that's after you've planted grapevines and harvested them, so you have grapes down here. And this tells you how much you can sell them for. Anything on the first row here is worth 1 coin, anything on the second row is worth 2, anything on the third row is worth 3. So you could sell a grape, or you can buy or sell a field. And what you do when you sell a field is you get the value of the field. It tells you 5, 6, or 7. So that's how many coins you would get. That makes it sold. You cannot do that if you've got a grapevine planted there. And once you've sold it, you can't plant a grapevine there. Here is plant a green card. So if you have green cards in your hand, if you want to play them out, and what you do is you plant them on one of your fields. Now you can only have as much grapes here as the value of the field. So this is a 6 value field, so you can't have more than 6 value in grapes. So that would max out. There's a 3 red and a 3 red. So that would max out that field, so I couldn't put anything else down. And some of them have red and white on them, and so you would total them up, and that would be the value of the grapes that you're putting on there. If you look in the upper left-hand corner of your grapevine, there's some structures there that are required by that kind of grapevine. So the Merlot here requires irrigation. Some of them require a trellis. And so to do that, you have to build a structure, and it shows you the price of each structure on your board. A trellis is 2, irrigation is 3, tasting room is 6, a yoke is 2, and it tells you what that structure will do right here on your board. Windmill is 5. You've got the medium and the large cellar. You cannot have wine up here in this space unless you have a medium cellar. You cannot have it up here, 7, 8, or 9, unless you have a large cellar. You have to build the medium cellar before you can build the large cellar. So those are your different kinds of structures. Here's a cottage. And what a cottage does is it allows you to draw a blue or a yellow card. In the fall, normally you can only draw one of them. The cottage allows you to draw two of them essentially. So that's build a structure, the plant a grapevine card. Give a tour. Giving a tour earns you income. You're touring people through your winery. And so if you put it here, you gain 2 coins. If you put it on this one, you get an extra coin, so that would be 3 coins. So that is all of the summer spaces. There's this one that's just got a cart here that says gain 1 coin. You can take that in the summer or the winter. So those are all your summer options, and then you go to fall and you go through the summer until everybody is passed. And so once you've got all your workers out here, or these workers that you have at the beginning, that's all the workers you get for the whole year. So if you use them all in the summer, you won't have any to use in the winter. So you really have to watch for not playing all of them if you can stop yourself from playing them. So once everybody has passed, and so to mark that you've passed, move your rooster over to the other side. That'll show that you've passed. Once you've passed, you're out for the rest of the season. You go to fall, and fall lets you draw a visitor card, either a yellow or a blue, and you're going to do that in turn order. Now, yellow ones can only be played in the summer. Blue ones can only be played in the winter. So if in the fall you grab yellow ones, you won't be able to play them in the winter. You'll just have them in your hand. So once everybody has drawn visitor cards, you go into the winter. And so the winter is the blue spaces. So here's the options you have in the blue spaces. You can draw a purple card. Purple cards are your orders. So they tell you what kind of wines people want, and you're trying to fulfill them. This one wants two red wine, a 2 white wine. It'll give you 2 victory points and give you 1 residual income every year. So the easier it is to make them, the lower value they are. So that's a draw a purple card. If you take the center one, it's draw 2 purple cards. This is play a blue card. So you just read whatever's on the card, or play 2 blue cards. Harvest a field. Now when you harvest fields, you do not pick the vines, you just pick the grapes on the vines. So if I played harvest a field, and this +1 gives you an extra field, so it'd be 2 fields. I've got 1 field here that's got 2 vines on it. So what I would do is, if I harvest that one, I'm going to add up all of the red value and all of the white value. So the 2 3s become a single 6. And I grab my bead here and put it on a 6 red. Make up to 2 wine tokens or 3 wine tokens. And it doesn't have anything to do with how many grapes you got. It has to do with how many wine tokens you're making. So if you're making 2 wine tokens, some of your purple cards there, they want blush wine or they want sparkling wine. And if you look down here on your key, it tells you how to get sparkling wine or blush wine. It's a little bit trickier. But you'll notice that the blush wines are not available in the small cellar. You have to have a medium or a large cellar to even have blush wines. They've got a higher value to them. So to make a blush wine, you use a red and a white grape to make a blush. And so you're going to add the value of the red and add the value of the white together, and that's going to be the value of the blush. So the smallest blush you can have is a 4. So if you took a red 3 and a white 1, you'd make a blush 4. And you would take those 2 grapes off, a red 3 and a white 1, And you can always make a smaller one than what you actually have. So like if you had a 3 and a 3, you could make a 4 or a 5 or a 6 with a 3 and a 3. And the reason for that is maybe you don't have a large cellar yet, so you need to keep a smaller number there. And if you look at your sparkling wines, it takes 2 reds and a white to make a sparkling. And you need a large cellar to make a sparkling wine. So to make a 7 sparkling, you could have a 3 red, a 3 white, a 3 red, another 3 red, and a 1 white would make a 7 sparkling. So that's making 2 wine tokens. So it has to do with how many wine tokens you're ending up with, not how many grape tokens you have. And you're going to take the grape tokens off, you're going to put the wine tokens on. You also can train new workers. So it costs 4 to train a new worker. You notice in your pieces here you have more workers. You have 3 extra workers here. So you could pay 4 to train a new worker, and that worker comes out here, and when you take your workers back off the board, you will get that one. And this one here is fill a purple card. So if you have the right kind of wine over here to fill a purple card, make sure you get your victory points for whichever wine you're selling. You move your wine bottle onto the space for the residual income, and so it's just going to accumulate. So if you do that again next year or something, it's going to go around here and max out at 5. And again, this cart is available if you just want 1 coin. So those are your spaces, and then once everybody's passed in the winter, and again, just slide that across to show that you're passing. You age grape and wine tokens. So all of your grape goes from one space to the next higher space. All of your wine goes from one space to the next higher space, unless you don't have a large enough cellar. So a 6 can't go to a 7 unless you have a large cellar. And then you retrieve your workers. So you pick all of your workers back up. If you've trained a new worker, you're going to take that one. The gray one is going to go back at 7 o'clock. And I didn't even talk about this grande worker. What this grande worker does is this grande worker can be put down in any space, but not the bonus space, even if somebody else has already taken the space. So let's say blue has already taken this space. Well, purple could come along with his grande worker and put it there and do that space also. But each player only has 1 grande worker. And then you collect residual payments, so you get coins from the bank based on your residual income. You discard down to 7, so if you have more than 7 of these kinds of cards in your hands, you're going to discard down to 7. And the discard pile is right here next to the draw pile. You rotate the first player marker counterclockwise. So most games you go clockwise, so it's going to be kind of challenging for you to remember to go counterclockwise with the first player token. And so once that's moved, then whoever the new first player is, he gets to put his chicken down in the wake up position for the spring of that year. And then you just go through this, you go through it until somebody gets to 20 victory points at the end. And so that signals the end of the game. So you can always keep track of how close you are to the end of the game by watching that. Once somebody gets to 20, you go ahead and finish the year out. So it doesn't immediately end. So people can continue to go up on their victory points through the end of the year. So in case of a tie, then the most money would be the first tiebreaker. The most total of wine in the cellar is the second tiebreaker. The most total of grapes on the crush pad is the third tiebreaker, which here's your crush pad right here. If you did sell your field, you can also buy your field back, and when you buy it back, you pay the same value that you sold it for. So that's all there is to viticulture. Now, again, mine is the Essential Edition, which is maybe slightly different than a base game without the Essential Edition, because this has like a part of an expansion in it or something. I don't have the base game to know exactly how much different there is. I think maybe there's a few cards in here that are slightly different or something. But that's how you play Viticulture. It's a really fun game and really easy to learn, because they did such a great job explaining here. But what you will find out when you're playing is you will be over here in the summer and you want to play a winter action. You'll be in the winter and you want the summer action. And sorry, but you can't do it. And when you harvest, if you want to harvest during the wrong season, you can buy this yoke, and this yoke allows you to harvest no matter whether it's summer or fall, summer or winter. You can still do a harvest of your grapes to get you some grapes. Now you have to watch, because you can only harvest your grapes once a year. You cannot harvest the same grapes more than once a year. That's Viticulture, designed by Jamie Stegmaier, and that's how you play. So tune into all of our videos at the Board Game Network, and until next time, this is James with the Board Game Network.